So an angle of elevation is formed by an observer's line of sight and a horizontal line. So in other words, picture standing on the ground and looking up at something. When you elevate something, okay, you go up. So you are standing on the ground and you're looking up. So this right here is your angle of elevation. Now, as far as depression is concerned, to depress means to go down. Okay, so an angle of depression is when you are standing somewhere or sitting somewhere and you're looking down. And it's formed with the horizontal distance that is formed pretty much like with your line of sight here. So this is the angle of depression. Now, the angle of depression is equal to the angle of elevation. If we were in class, we would be discussing why those were equal, and I'd be hopefully calling on someone as they raise their hand to tell me, oh, Ms. Junta, those are alternate interior angles. So, when you discuss angles of elevation, please remember that they are equal to the angle of depression. All right, so here are the real life scenarios. There are no pictures, so you're going to have to draw them. First one says the angle of elevation from a kicker's foot on the football field to the top of a goalpost is 17 degrees. So I'm going to draw my right triangle looking like this. All right. If you watch football, you know that the goalpost bars are vertical. Okay. And the angle of elevation from the kicker's foot, well, the kicker would be standing on flat ground. So the kicker's foot would be here. So the football is over here, which means this angle of elevation here is 17 degrees. He is standing 131 feet from the base of the goalpost. So this over here is the post. If you are standing from the base of anything, you're standing from the bottom. To be the base is the bottom, like the basement is the bottom of your house. So he is standing 131 feet away from the goalpost. How tall is the goalpost? We're going to put the X right here on the vertical distance. So just like in the other two lessons, we always stand at the acute angle. So if I'm standing at the 17 degrees there, this X is my opposite side. This 131 is my adjacent side. So using the acronyms we learned, we're going to end up using tangent because we have the opposite and the adjacent. So the tangent of the angle is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. So the angle is 17. The opposite is X. That's what we don't know. That's what we need. And the adjacent side is 131. So to solve these types of problems when X is either the numerator or the denominator, we cross multiply. And when we cross multiply, it is recommended by yours truly, Ms. Junta, that you put the 131 in front of the word tangent and then the angle. X times 1 will give you X, so you plug this into your calculator. So we're going to use our calculators. We're going to make sure that we are in degree mode, and we're going to type in that expression 131 tangent of 17. So 131 times the tangent of 17. So that's 40.0507. It said to the, actually it says how tall, didn't tell us where to round. So let's put 4 decimal places. 40.0507. 40.0507 is your X. Okay, if they don't tell you where to round, just make sure you put at least 4 decimal places. Next one. Leah's mom is standing at the bottom of a slide at the playground. So if you think about a slide is going to go on a slant like this. Now Leah's mom is standing at the bottom of the slide, so she's standing right over here. If the angle of elevation from the bottom of the slide to the top is 46 degrees, so the angle of elevation in your right triangle is always this right here. And that is 46 degrees. The vertical height, to be vertical means to be straight up and down, like from north to south. That is 9 feet. Find the length of the slide. We're going to put the X right here. So we're standing at the acute angle. Across from the 46 is your 9, which means 9 is our opposite side. The X right here is your hypotenuse. That's because that's across from the right angle. So those two determine that we're going to be using sine. The sine of the angle is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. The angle is 46 degrees. The opposite side is 9 and the hypotenuse is x. So x is in the denominator, which means we need to cross multiply. When you rewrite this, please write it as x sine of 46 equals 9 times 1, which is 9. X is not alone like it was before. So if you remember my tricks from the first lesson, if you want to detach, you need to divide. So we're going to divide both sides by the sine of 46. Cross this out. X is equal to 91 divided by the sine of 46. Control division, 91 divided by the sine of 46. That gives us 126.5049. 126.5049. Okay, so it didn't tell us where to round, so just include 4 decimal places. A dog is standing 5 feet from the base of a tree, so think about a tree. Trees usually are vertical. The dog is standing away from the base of the tree, so you have your dog. I don't really draw the best dogs. There's your dog. Let's give it some ears. That looks like a cat. It's standing 5 feet from the base of the tree, looking up at a cat. So it's looking up at a cat that has climbed 16 feet up in the tree, which would imply the tree is about 16 feet tall. What is the angle of elevation? So now we're looking for this angle of elevation from where the dog is standing. We always pretend to be standing at the acute angle. The 16 is directly on the opposite side from the angle, and the 5 is the adjacent. So using the O and the A, we're going to be using tangent. Tangent of the angle is equal to opposite over adjacent. Now we don't know the angle. Opposite is 16, adjacent is 5. We do not cross multiply here. When x is on the inside, we use the inverse, which means we just choose the correct function in our calculator and we type in the fraction and then it'll give us our angle. So the inverse of tan, 16 over 5. Make sure you pick the correct one, 16 over 5, 72.6598 or 6459. That's a 7, which brings that 9 to a 10, which brings us to a 6. So 6460, 72.6460. 72.6460 is equal to x. Next, a lifeguard is sitting on a platform looking down at a swimmer. So the lifeguard's up here. He's looking down at the swimmer. If the lifeguard's line of sight is 8 feet above the ground, if you're talking about above the ground, you're referring to this right here. And the angle of depression is 18 degrees. So the angle of depression would be this. But the angle of depression is equal to the angle of elevation, so we're going to put the 18 down here. It actually doesn't matter. You can put the 18 up here as well. But we have, remember, your z. So the 18 degrees up at the top, angle of depression, is equal to the 18 degrees at the bottom, angle of elevation. How far away is the swimmer from the lifeguard? So the swimmer was down here. This is how far the swimmer is away. So we're going to put the x down there. From the 18 degrees, we determine what the 8 and the x are. So the 8 is the opposite side, and the x is the adjacent. So again, this is going to be using tangent. Tangent of the angle is equal to opposite over adjacent. The angle is 18, the opposite side is 8, the adjacent is x. Cross multiply because x is the denominator. When you rewrite it as x tangent of 18 is equal to 8 times 1, which is 8. X is not alone. It's attached to the X by the tangent of 18 by multiplication. To detach, you divide. So we're going to divide both sides by the tangent of 18. So X is equal to, plug that in your calculators, 8 divided by tangent of 18. 8 divided by the tangent of 18. So that gives us 24.6215. 24.6215. All right, we have one more. Zach is standing at the top of a lookout tower. So the lookout tower is vertical, and he's standing at the top. So Zach is up here. He spots a water fountain below. So he's looking down, and the water fountain, it will be down here. If the lookout tower is 70 feet tall, so he's at the top of it, so 75 feet tall, and the angle of depression is 28. So the angle of depression would be here. But the angle of depression is equal to the angle of elevation, so we're also going to put the 28 down there. What is the horizontal distance? To be horizontal means to go from left to right, from east to west or west to east, between Zach and the water fountain. So we're going to put an X down here. If we're standing at the 28, because we always stand at the acute angle, we determine what are the 75 and what is the X. 75 is the side directly opposite of me, and the X is the adjacent. So again, that is tangent. Tangent of the angle is equal to opposite over adjacent. The angle is 28 degrees. The opposite is 75. The adjacent is X. When X is a part of the fraction, aka numerator or denominator, we cross multiply. So we get X tangent of 28 is equal to 75 times 1, which is 75. When we need to detach the X from the tangent, we divide by the tangent of 28. So we get X equals 75 divided by the tangent of 28. Control division, 75 divided by the tangent. Now hold on, 28. I just want to make sure I have the correct angle. So that would be 141.0545. 0545. 0545. Okay, so I'm just going to insert one more page here. And I just want to discuss again the importance between the angle of depression and the angle of elevation. So, angle of elevation is when you're standing on a flat surface and you look up. This is your angle of elevation. Angle of depression is if you are standing somewhere, let's say you're standing on the top of a building watching fireworks or something. It's from the invisible line of sight or the invisible horizontal line here looking down. So this is your angle of depression. Now these lines here are parallel. Therefore, this would be acting like your transversal, which would mean that the angle of depression is equal to the angle of elevation. Now, if we actually wanted to, we could create a rectangle out of this. So you actually have two of the same right triangles. This one, this left triangle here, and this green triangle here are actually congruent, which is why the angle of depression and the angle of elevation are equal as well. All right, do your best. There are 5 questions for you to work on in a Google form. Make sure you rewind this as many times as you need to, or comment, or email me, or come to the live meet on Monday morning. All right, hope all is well.